Hello and welcome back to the Pitch Side podcast. I'm your host, the HOD of the PSP. Like, share, comment on the YouTube version of this podcast and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Enable notifications to receive all the updates from these episodes of the podcast and all the content on the channel. Follow us on social media, site PSP on Twitter, Pitch Side Pod on Instagram, and listen on Spotify, Google Podcast or any other platform. Join us here for episode 157 and you're welcome. We're kicking things off in the Premier League, of course. Round 36 carried on Sunday with Crystal Palace defeating Aston Villa 3-0, actually coming back from the 2-1 lead for Aston Villa to lead 3-2 and to win the game 3-2. Of course, John McGinn opened the scoring for Aston Villa at the 17th minute. Christian Benteke, who's really been low-key in a great form with Crystal Palace as of late. Maybe he's been underrated this season. He's been overlooked, I would say, in favour of other players. Anwar El Ghazi made it 2-1 for Aston Villa in the 34th minute, but in the second half it was more Crystal Palace than Aston Villa, and Wilfried Zaha managed to make it 2-2 by an assist from Eberechi Eze, one of the players that I really like about the Premier League this season, before Tyrick Mitchell made it 3-2 for Crystal Palace. Of course, a victory that is, as important for, Crystal Palace as it is distractive for Aston Villa. Of course, they were looking to improve their finish at the very least, since they couldn't get to European places and they couldn't play for European places this season. Crystal Palace, of course, are in a warm zone as well as Aston Villa, so it's pretty much a useless game in the grand scheme of things. A game that wasn't useless, though, it was Tottenham versus Wolves at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and, it was a deserved victory for Tottenham, I would say. Finally, a victory that is convincing for Tottenham this season. Has been a while since they did so. A game where they dominate and they win. It has been quite the combination, and quite the period since that happened. I really don't remember the last time where Tottenham did so, or dominated and won the game at the same time. Harry Kane managed to make it 1-1, of course, before half-time for Tottenham, before Emil Højbjerg made it 2-0 for Tottenham Hotspur. We cannot say a lot, really, about this game. Tottenham dominated, Wolverhampton were on the defensive, and they weren't exactly that good doing so. Their season really fell apart since Raul Jimenez was injured, and there was really no coming back from that, because they lost an important player, they lost a focal point of the game. Fabio Silva couldn't quite really fill the void. Willian Jose isn't exactly doing the bid as well, so probably they should just, go for it. They should just run the motions until next season, when hopefully Jimenez is going to be returning, and they will be having a proper start for the season as well, and a proper squad to choose from. Maybe some improvements. They could go for European places again, and maybe will do another achievement like they did in their first season back. Then, of course, we have the biggest story, I think, of the day, and it comes from the Hawthorns, as West Brom hosted Liverpool, and this was as crucial of a game as it is. This was a banana skin for Liverpool, because Liverpool were really expected to drop points here. They have been in a good form as of late after the victory against Manchester United 4-2. Everybody sort of saw Liverpool coming from behind, really, and making a late surge to get in the top four, and this was just a brilliant result all around, despite the fact that West Brom were dangerous, already relegated, so they're playing with no pressure, really. It was pretty clear that, they're enjoying the game. They created danger and a couple of opportunities, but Liverpool were mostly the dominating side, but they couldn't manage to score, early on in the game. It was Roy Robson-Kanu scoring in the 15th minute, from set-piece defending for Liverpool, once again having problems in that. Then in the 33rd minute, Mo Salah equalised, and another casual finish for him, but one that improves his goal tally to 22 this season in the Premier League. He's still in the race for the Golden Boot thanks to this goal, as also with Harry Kane with 22 goals for each one of them. But obviously the biggest story has to be Alisson Becker scoring in the 95th minute to save Liverpool's chances of a top four. This goal, I think, Liverpool, if they make it to the Champions League, this goal might be the one that they look at and say, this is what got us to the Champions League. This is the goal that helped us, secure the place in the Champions League. The goal that made the difference between 61 points and 63 points, and it's a big difference considering the games that are still coming in the Premier League, with Chelsea still having to play Leicester head-to-head on Tuesday, so that's going to be a crucial result, how that is going to be affecting the race for the top 4 as well. So it will be a very fiery race in the last couple of fixtures, of course, with everyone on board and everyone playing all of their matches in the Premier League again. An emotional story. His interview afterward was just, heartwarming to see with the problems he had this season. Of course, the injuries, his father passing away. You'll love to see someone, scoring a goal like that and celebrating it like that. You'll love to see the emotions from him on the pitch, really. And certainly, Jurgen Klopp gave him his credit, of course, and gave him probably the biggest embrace you could ever ask for. It was a crazy story. When you think you've seen it all in football, you just see more. Liverpool, again, wasn't exactly the perfect of games, although they had more ball to control. It wasn't the perfect game. They missed a couple of opportunities. They looked desperate at a certain point, and it doesn't get more desperate than Alisson Becker scoring a 95th minute header to win you a game and save you 3 points, but it is what it is. Liverpool now need to turn around, look ahead to the next games that they're going to be having in the season. That they have Burnley away and then Crystal Palace at home, which is not the easiest of runs. I mean, don't get it wrong, it's not the easiest of runs. It's a pretty tricky run for both sides as well. You don't know what you can get from both sides, but probably you think Liverpool have enough in them to at least get 4 points out of the last 6, which potentially could get them into the Champions League, with the result that would happen, elsewhere for Chelsea and for Leicester, considering Leicester have Chelsea and Tottenham, and Chelsea, of course, are still going to be facing Leicester, which is going to be a big game in deciding the top 4 spots. And of course, as of last, Everton lost once again to Sheffield United, so I think put to bed any kind of hope that they will get a top 4 spot. The best thing they could do at the moment is to get a Europa League spot with above them, of course, which seems pretty hard at the moment, considering that Tottenham and West Ham could really hold on to their spots at those places in 5th and 6th. Next week, of course, or the next game week in the Premier League is going to be in the midweek. It's going to be actually tomorrow and on Wednesday, with Man United hosting Fulham, Southampton playing Leeds United, Brighton & Hove Albion playing Man City, Chelsea playing Leicester City, as I mentioned, in a big game for the top 4, Everton, Wolverhampton on Wednesday, Newcastle, Sheffield United, Nottingham versus Aston Villa, Crystal Palace hosting Arsenal, Burnley hosting Liverpool, and West Brom United and West Brom Albion hosting West Ham United. Moving on to Spain now, and to La Liga, as round 37 was all played yesterday in the same time. 10 games were played at the same time, but obviously the big focus was on the top tier echelon of that table, as Athletic Bilbao hosted Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid hosted Osasuna, and Barcelona hosted Celta Vigo, and those 3 games were really crucial, each on its own, and they're intrinsically linked, so we're going to be talking about them in a big package, of course. So, Atletico Madrid, let's start from Atletico Madrid. They beat Osasuna 2-1, and of course it took them a lot of nerve, and it was a really nervy game, despite the fact that they dominated. I mean, completely dominated the game. They outdone Osasuna, they completely suffocated them. I mean, Osasuna ended up with 28% of possession. That is a stat you don't really see in the games for Atletico Madrid. You don't see their opponents with only 28% of possession, or even that kind of number. So it was pretty weird seeing Atletico Madrid, dominating the ball like that, but not scoring. I mean, it's not surprising they did that. It happened for them in the past this season. But certainly this was even more nervy, since it was the penultimate round and they needed the win to deliver the title and all of that. Luis Suarez missed a glorious opportunity in the first half that probably, if the game went on the way it did before the 2 goals late on for Atletico, they would probably be the scapegoat for it, and maybe he will be the reason why Atletico Madrid would have lost the trophy. But definitely he was not the scapegoat. He was in fact the saviour late on in the game. Of course, Atletico Madrid growing more frustrated in the game. They were taken apart. They were surprised by Osasuna and Thibaut Demir scoring in the 75th minute to make it 1-0 for Osasuna, and that was after a goal was cancelled for Stefan Savic on the other side for the tightest of offside margins, and it was a pretty dramatic ending. Renan Lodi, from all people, made it 1-1 for Atletico Madrid, and then Luis Suarez, of course, after missing a couple of chances in the early on in the game, he scores a big goal in the 88th minute, making it 2-1 for Atletico Madrid, a goal that probably would win them the title this season. And I really think that with this result, Atletico Madrid should be good to win the title. They should have enough in them to defeat Valladolid in the last game of the season to win La Liga, albeit Valladolid are, of course, still interested in the relegation battle. The other Madrid side, of course, I mean, they found it, I think, a little bit. I mean, it was hard. It was hard for them as well to win the Real Madrid. Of course, the goal coming in from Nacho Fernandez in the 68th minute, and this is a game where, again, VAR was the hero of it. A penalty was, I mean, not a penalty. The penalty shout was not awarded, I think, in the 28th minute. I mean, I couldn't argue with it. It was a penalty. You can see it in the clear view. The ball was clearly hitting his elbow. His elbow is out. How Mateo Laos of the referees in the VAR room didn't see it as a handball, I don't really know. Real Madrid, they started really well. They dominated. You expect them to dominate against Bilbao, who played defensively and on the counter. But, it took them a little bit while to really get going or to really threaten Atletico Bilbao's net. Before the goal in the 68th minute, they didn't have a lot of shots on target. Like, the first proper shot on target was like in this 57th, 58th minute from Luka Modric. So it took them a while to get going, but eventually they scored a goal that would keep them in the title race, because had they dropped points against Bilbao, had they drawn against Bilbao, it would be officially Atletico Madrid winning the title. But they give themselves a chance in the last fixture against, of course, they play against Villarreal, and of course with Atletico Madrid playing against Valladolid. Do you think this is going to be an easier one, particularly with Real Madrid travelling or hosting Villarreal, while Atletico Madrid also host Valladolid in the last fixture? Again, Villarreal probably robbed Real Madrid of a penalty, but definitely they got the win anyways. Atletico Bilbao, didn't create a lot of opportunities to really put Real Madrid in danger. They just wanted to draw. They just wanted to not concede, and that's about it. And when you do that, when you play for a draw, you lose most of the times, and that's what happened for Bilbao. Real Madrid keeping themselves in the title race and giving themselves a chance to fight in the last round. Barcelona, on the other side, didn't give themselves the same chance, of course, to keep themselves in the title. They lost 2-1 to Celta Vigo at home. And it was the same result, the same scenario, literally, of the game against Granada, where they lost with the same result at home as well. Literally the same result. They score early, and then the opponents made a remontada. I mean, if you really just take the Celta Vigo logo out of it, you probably think, yes, it is the same game against Granada. After Messi opened the scoring in the 28th minute, thanks to a brilliant assist from Busquets, Santi Mina equalised in a goal that could only be described as a horrendous piece of defending, really. Piqué giving him all the space to shoot for Santi Mina, and Ter Stegen being lazy. I mean, it's a shot that was savable, I would say, but somehow it was, it was not for some reason for Ter Stegen, and it went into the net. 1-1 for Celta Vigo before half-time, and in the second half, Barcelona, were even worse than their first half performances. They were pretty passive in the second half performance, and with Celta Vigo, trying to sneak in with a couple of chances, they did, and Santi Mina scored the second goal in the 89th minute to break Barcelona's hearts and to deny them any chance of winning La Liga title, of course. And before that, of course, Clément Lenglet got sent off to add to their troubles, but I didn't think it was a sending off. I didn't think it deserved a red card, but obviously since he got a yellow, that would have been a second yellow, and it was a pretty easy decision for the referee to make, I would say. It was a big result for Barcelona, denying them any opportunity to win the trophy, and I would say that they have to be thankful that Villarreal on the other side managed to bash Sevilla 4-0, of course, to deny them a third place, because had Sevilla won, they would have been in third place, and that would have been worse for Barcelona. Of course, speaking of that game, it was Carlos Barca's day in Villarreal against Sevilla, as he scored a hat-trick, and Gerard Moreno scored a goal to improve his goal tally this season. Gerard Moreno going up to 23 now, obviously all behind Messi. 30 goals for Messi this season, and that is like his worst season of them all. By the way, of course, I really don't see Messi. I really don't see Messi getting past this season with Barcelona, albeit there's a lot of different considerations you need to take when you think of that question: is Messi leaving Barcelona or not? Elsewhere in La Liga, Cadiz lost against Elche 1-3. Cadiz opened the scoring, in fact, from a penalty spot from Jose Mare in the 15th minute. Then, of course, the turnaround came in the second half with Elche scoring 3 goals, with Pere Mia equalising, then Diego Gonzalez making it 2-0 before Fidel scoring the third goal for Elche. Deportivo Alaves managed to make it 4-2 against Granada, defeating the ambitious Andalusian side 4-2, of course, in a very thrilling game, and a tit-for-tat stop. Getafe, a 10-man Getafe, I would say, late on in the game, managed to defeat Levante 2-1 with David Timor getting sent off late on. Of course, it got pretty violent, the game, into the end between the two sides. Of course, you can understand why Getafe needed the win as they were scrambling with relegation. Real Betis defeated Huesca 1-0, the sole goal from Borja Iglesias in the 57th minute from the penalty spot gave Real Betis the victory against a 10-man Huesca as well, with Dani Escriche getting sent off late in the game, but Huesca still battling, still fighting for the relegation, of course, 2 points above Elche and Valladolid, at the bottom of the table. And Valencia, of course, managed to make it 4-1 against Eibar, of course, who are at the bottom of the table at the moment. Gonzalo Guedes scored at the 3rd minute to open the scoring, then Carlos Soler made it 2 and 3-0 in the space of half an hour. Brian Gil made it 3-1, scoring for the consolation goal for Eibar before Gonzalo Guedes adding the 4th early on in the second half. And of course, Real Sociedad defeating another relegation battler in Real Valladolid 4-1. 4 goals were scored on the first half. Of course, Alexander Isak scoring a brace. David Silva showing he still have a lot of skills, and Adnan Januzaj making it 4-0 from the penalty spot. They had a goal cancelled in the second half, and then Marcos de Souza made it 4-1, scoring the only goal for Real Valladolid. Important results across the board in La Liga, but certainly the top of the table is what matters. Atletico Madrid with 83 points, 2 points behind or ahead of Real Madrid. Barcelona 76 points, the title hopes are done and dusted. Sevilla with 74, Real Sociedad with 58, Betis with 58, as well as Villarreal. Celta Vigo with 53, Athletic with 46 points, Granada 45 points, Osasuna 44, 43 for Cadiz, 42 for Valencia, 40 points for Levante, 38 for Alaves, 37 for Getafe, Huesca with 33, with Elche as well at 33 in the 18th position, Valladolid 31, and Eibar with 30 points at 20th. The last round of the league is going to be played from Friday to Sunday, of course, with Levante playing against Cadiz on Friday, Celta Vigo playing against Real Betis on a Saturday, with Eibar, Barcelona, Elche, Athletic Bilbao, Valencia going away to Huesca, Osasuna hosting Real Sociedad, that is on a Saturday, Real Madrid, Villarreal on a Saturday as well, Real Valladolid versus Atletico Madrid on a Saturday, Granada, Getafe on Sunday, as well as Sevilla versus Deportivo Alaves. Quick stop before we go to the Serie A, quick stop at the Bundesliga, and 2 matches were played, of course, to finish off round 33, the penultimate round, and those 2 matches were crucial as Borussia Dortmund confirmed their position in the Champions League next season, beating Mainz 3-1. It was a pretty mostly one-sided game, particularly in the first half, with Dortmund completely dominating the game, scoring twice in the first half, with Jadon Sancho coming on the score sheet, not with goals though, but with assists. He assisted twice for Rafael Guerreiro in the first goal. Beautiful finish from the Portuguese, by the way, one of the best left-backs in the world, and Marco Reus scoring in the 42nd minute, making it 2-0. Julian Brandt in the 80th minute, managing to confirm the victory for Borussia Dortmund, confirming the 3 points and, of course, confirming the Champions League spot for the Borussia Dortmund side next season. The only goal for Mainz coming in from Robin Quaison. Mainz were a little bit better in the second half, but obviously not enough to overpower Borussia Dortmund this time, officially in the Champions League next season, and that is quite the achievement. And of course, the whole top 4 is confirmed now. We could confirm that it is going to be Bayern, RB Leipzig, Borussia Dortmund, and Wolfsburg who are going to be in the Champions League next season. RB Leipzig and Wolfsburg both are going to go to the competition, drawing against each other, of course, all in a very interesting and a very brilliant game, I would say. It was literally a game of 2 halves. Wolfsburg started stronger in the first half. They scored 2 goals. They cut through Leipzig as they wanted to. It was a pretty horrendous defensive performance from the Rotten Bullen in the first half. Maximilian Philipp scored the opener for Wolfsburg before adding the second himself right on the stroke of halftime. It was quite the performance from him in the first half, and quite the bad defensive performance from Leipzig in the first half. But in the second half, things got inverted. Justin Kluivert half the deficit early on thanks to an assist from Marcel Sabitzer before Sabitzer himself comes from the penalty spot and scores the second for Leipzig. He never missed a penalty in his club or country career. That is quite an astonishing stat for for Marcel Sabitzer, giving Leipzig the crucial point, and of course, and that point means that officially in the second place, Wolfsburg are going through the Champions League, and definitely the top 4 battle is over in Germany. Borussia Dortmund not just managing to be in the top 4, but also managing to finish the round 3rd behind Leipzig, 4 points behind Leipzig, which is, as I mentioned in the cup review game, it was obviously a big ending for Dortmund, the best ending that he could have dreamt of, considering the circumstances they had this season and the results they had this season in the middle portion of it. The last round of the Bundesliga, of course, is going to be played next. It's going to be played on Saturday. It's going to be Hoffenheim hosting Hertha Berlin, Köln hosting Schalke, Union Berlin hosting Leipzig, Bayern Munich hosting Augsburg, Borussia Dortmund hosting Leverkusen. That game really doesn't matter anymore in the grand scheme of things. Eintracht Frankfurt hosting Freiburg as well, another game that would not matter in the grand scheme of things. Stuttgart playing against Arminia Bielefeld, Wolfsburg playing Mainz, and Werder Bremen playing Borussia Mönchengladbach. All the battle is going to be in the relegation zone, and literally for the playoff spot and for the last spot at 15th, right above the relegation battle. It's going to be pretty important games for Bielefeld, who are going to be playing, as I mentioned, Stuttgart, for Köln, who are going to be playing Schalke in a relegation 6-pointer. I would say Köln need the victory against Schalke to save themselves potentially, but they need the results to go their way. They need Werder Bremen to lose against Borussia Mönchengladbach, and they need Bielefeld to lose against VfB Stuttgart next week. And it's going to be interesting to see how the relegation battle is going to play off in the Bundesliga. Rounding things up in the episode, and we go to Italy and to Serie A. Of course, the rest of the round 37 matches was played. Only one match remains. Hellas Verona versus Bologna is going to be played on Monday, but nothing new really for some sides in the top of the table. But there's a big result that probably will affect how the table is going to be standing in the last fixture of the season, with Milan drawing a 0-0 against Cagliari. It was just the wrong time for Milan to drop points, not this way, after they spent the whole season really almost competing for the title, and then they will see their top 4 hopes probably shredded if they don't win against Atalanta. Of course, there's going to be some big results needed for Milan in order to get to the Champions League. Certainly, the game against Atalanta just got more crucial at the moment with the draw against Cagliari. Elsewhere, of course, it was Parma versus Sassuolo. Sassuolo defeated Parma 3-1. Sampdoria defeated Udinese 1-0. Crotone drawn against 10-man. Crotone 10-man drawn against Benevento 1-1. And Napoli, of course, defeated Fiorentina 2-0. A result that Juve has been waiting for Napoli to slip, but they didn't. Lorenzo Insigne scored the opening goal for Napoli before the own goal from Lorenzo Venuti made it 2-0 for Napoli. An important victory for them that keeps their hopes alive for a top 4 spot. As I mentioned, with Milan dropping points against Cagliari, they're now with 76 as well, joint with Milan. 1 point between Milan, Napoli and Juventus. Is going to be quite the tough game for both of them. Atalanta only need a draw against Milan to secure their spot in the Champions League officially. I think they don't have to worry about anything really. The worst that could happen really is that they go 4th, and in this case, if they go 4th and if Juventus defeat Bologna, they will, of course, they still will qualify. They officially secured their position in the Champions League. Congratulations for Atalanta. I would love to see him in the Champions League once again. So it's going to be a big weekend. Next week it will be Bologna Juventus on Sunday. All the games are going to be played on Sunday one time, as you would expect. Bologna versus Juventus, Atalanta, Milan Inter versus Udinese, Napoli versus Hellas Verona, Spezia Roma, Sassuolo versus Lazio, Crotone Fiorentina, Torino versus Benevento, Sampdoria Parma, and Cagliari versus Genoa. You really need all the focus is going to be on the Atalanta Milan game, Bologna versus Juventus, and probably Napoli, Hellas Verona as well. You expect Juventus to defeat Bologna, Napoli to defeat Hellas Verona. All the focus then, and all the eyes are going to be in the game between Atalanta and Milan. Atalanta who only need a draw to secure the second spot for them. This season is going to be quite an interesting, absolutely tight top 4 race in Serie A. That's it from me for this episode. I was your boy, the HID of the BSB. Like, share, comment on the YouTube version of this. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, enable notifications to receive all the updates from these episodes of the podcast. Follow us on social media, site BSB on Twitter, pitch site pod on Instagram, and listen on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other platform. And until the next episode, I'll see you soon.